Hi 2K gang, I've been holding this video off for a very, very, very long time. First basketball video I've been making in a long, long time. So I waited to see when every single free agency move was over so I can actually make this video. Every single free agent, every single trade. This is after the John Wall, Russell Westbrook trade, so this is going to be a lot more accurate. After LeBron re-signed, after AD re-signed, this is going to be a pure prediction of who I think will win it all and how the standings are going to look this year in the Eastern and Western Conference. So there you go. It's going to be a long video, so grab a snack and see you then. Alright, starting off with the Eastern Conference, coming in at dead last, I see the New York Knicks finishing dead last. Honestly, literally no improvements for them. They signed Austin Rivers, which is a major upgrade from Frank Ntilikina. Also, not to mention, they literally had the 8th pick in the draft and drafted Obi Toppin, who sucks, legit, who will probably burn out and will probably fail. Because literally, like, you look at this guy, he literally has, what, 2 moves in his arsenal? Like, all he can do is dunk. He's literally a high school LeBron James. All he does is dunk. He can't do nothing else. Sucks legitimate butt cheeks on defense. And they passed up on Denny Advija, who was probably going to be one of the best players in the draft to come out of the draft. Yeah, like the New York Knicks, they're not good, man. They're not good. Like first of all, they need to sell the team. First of all, um, second of all, they just need to be better, man. Like I love they need to do better with Mitchell Robinson. R.J. Barrett's not too bad either. Mitchell Robinson, he got to do pretty good, man. I think he's gonna take a big step up this year, maybe an All Star. Who knows? Coming in at 14th is the Pistons. These guys literally, instead of getting better, ended up getting worse. And you know what I'm saying? Like, they literally lost Christian Wood just like that. Literally in a snap of the fingers. Um, Derrick Rose is getting old. They still have Blake Griffin. This team's not going to be good at all, unfortunately. I'd like to see them 14th. The only team they're better than is the New York Knicks. Hopefully they can get better. They signed Jeremy Grant to an extremely overpaid contract. Not a fan of that. I don't think it's gonna be a rough year for Detroit, and I see them falling to the in 14th in the Eastern Conference. I do have quite a bit to say about the Hornets. I see them coming 13th. I expect them to. They're a team that I think could win a championship by 2023. I mean, look at their team. I mean, PJ Washington's going to continue to get better. Devontae Graham's going to get better. Terry Rozier isn't going to be that bad off the bench this season. LaMelo Ball, we're going to see how he develops as a player. But right now, in a stacked Eastern Conference, the teams ahead of them, I just think are going to. The teams ahead of them, I think, are just going to go up. Well, I think they are just going to head downwards, unfortunately. Upwards as well. But in a stacked Eastern Conference, that's just how it is. Uh, you know, I see the Hornets getting 13th in the conference. Reasonable for them, as they weren't the best team in the league. They were, like, I believe, the 10th seed last year. Yeah, it's not really going up. It's kind of going down. But I think that Southeastern Conference, this is where they rank, and they're going to be a championship contender in 2023. You can bank on that. 13th for them. Coming in at 12th, I have the Cavs, and I originally had them going as a 9th seed. But I looked at teams that are ahead of them. No, no, no. They're not really playoff contenders just yet until they trade Kevin Love. Like, this team does not know how to draft in any way, shape, or form. Colin Sexton is continuing to improve every single year, becoming a star. I would expect him to be an all-star in a few years. Darius Garland was one of the worst players in the league last year. I mean, you look at Garland's plus minus; it was horrible. They just drafted Isaac Okoro, pretty much turning their back on Kevin Porter Jr. at the small forward position. I know you had a top 5 pick. Who are you going to pick? I mean, Kevin Porter Jr. was originally supposed to be their future. They just turned their back on him and decided to bench him and probably play Isaac Okoro. Isaac Okoro is really good, though. I mean, he's all right. I mean, if you don't know who to draft, I mean, you have to draft someone. You could have traded the 5th pick, kept KPJ, Kevin Porter Jr. could have kept him, traded the 5th overall pick, and Kevin Love. Probably could have got a lot of value out of that. But no, you decided to turn your back on Kevin Porter Jr., who I thought could have been outstanding. And, you drafted Coro, who I think will also be outstanding. 12th in the standings for you guys, nothing more at all. Next up, at coming in at 11th, I have the Chicago Bulls. This team is going on the rise. Kobe White, Zach LaVine, Lauri Markkanen, they all look like severe threats to the Eastern Conference, maybe even next year. And I don't think 11th is too bad for them either. Than I would expect them if they would have drafted Denny Avdia. But unfortunately, they drafted Patrick Williams, who didn't even start a singular game. They didn't even have to trade down for him. If you would have started Denny Avdia, I would have easily been high on you guys. But no, the other teams ahead of you are they're gonna be good teams this year. They're gonna be good. You know, obviously they're gonna be good teams this year. They're gonna be teams like this next portion of the Eastern Conference are teams that are good but just not cut out for the playoffs, man. Like Eastern Conference is getting better. The Bulls are just part of that, and the Bulls will be there next year. But right now, for this year, I see them going getting 11th in the conference. Right, coming in at 10th, I have the Orlando Magic, and the Orlando Magic are a team that I really expect to exceed my expectations. Or I don't really expect them, but I will not be surprised if they do. They are a consistent playoff team. Problem with them is every single other team in the East is making additions and getting better, while they just have stayed the same. I like Jonathan Isaac and how what he can do this year. Aaron Gordon's gonna be back, so this team could potentially be a playoff contender. But the two teams that I have ahead of them before the playoffs are honestly just ahead of them right now. And I think the Orlando Magic had a good run in the playoffs. They're winless in both playoff series. Of course, they were the 8th seed of both years in an Eastern Conference that it was a really weak Eastern Conference. This Eastern Conference is really not that strong either. It's honestly it is stacked. I will admit for teams like that, it's not comparable to the West, but it's the best the East has been in a long time. Magic they just don't fit in there. They just don't fit in. Of course, the ninth and 8th seed, those are two teams that are probably going to fight in a play-in tournament. This is how it is. I think Orlando finishes this season at 10. At 10. Coming in at number 9, I have the Wizards of Washington right now, and I feel that they're gonna fail in the play-in tournament. Oh yeah, all these standings are after the play-in tournament. By the way, I forgot to mention that with Orlando. Um, I don't like Russell Westbrook there in Washington for the most part. I think he's gonna help win them some games. He's gonna get them a 9 seed. I don't think the Wizards, even with Russell Westbrook, are good as teams like the Pacers or the Hawks, teams that are gonna be in the play-in tournament, teams that are probably gonna be the favorites to win the play-in tournament. I believe the Pacers and the Atlanta Hawks. I do think the Atlanta Hawks have their more depth. Of course, Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal are really the only positives. Davis Bertans, he's all right. Rest of the team is eh. I like the Pacers and the Hawks ahead of them. I have the Wizards just missing out at number 9. Russell Westbrook is overrated. By the way, I was just kidding. He's actually very overhated at what I meant to say. He's just not good in Washington. Alright, 2K gang, here we go. The playoff teams. And coming in at number 8, I have the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks were absolutely butt cheeks on defense a season ago. They added Rajon Rondo to pair a pretty interesting backcourt with Trae Young. They also John Collins, Danilo Gallinari. That team is going to be dangerous. I don't see them as true contenders. I see them as an 8th seed. I think they're definitely going to be on the rise next few years. Next year, I see them being a top 5 seed. Right now, they need to develop the core. Right now, the defense is somewhat improving. Gallinari is a pretty good defender, and Rondo's a good defender. The rest of the team sucks cheeks on defense. 8th seed, because this team is really deep, and I think they can make a shot at the playoffs, and will make the playoffs at 8. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, at number 7, the 7th seed, I think, are the Pacers. The Pacers are obviously one of the most underrated teams, obviously keeping Miles Turner. Also, people need to mention, when they got swept by Miami, they did not have Domantas Sabonis. And with Domantas Sabonis, they could have had a very good chance to beat the Heat. I think this team is going to succeed in the play-in tournament. Oladipo, if he returns to that all-star form, which I really hope he does, will be a threat in the East at 7. No doubt about it, in my opinion. They will have an interesting year. They'll succeed in the play-in tournament. They'll get that 7th seed. Domantas Sabonis will be another All-Star this year. This guy is definitely a top 25, maybe top 30 in the league. I have a lot to say about the Philadelphia 76ers coming in at 6th. I've seen prediction videos that have absolutely been atrocious, saying that the Sixers would be a top 4 team and the Raptors being 6. No, just no. The Sixers are coming in at number 6 is because I think Joel Embiid will continue to dominate. Ben Simmons still can't shoot. That's what the Sixers need. Seth Curry, he's all right. He's not like a Buddy Hield type shooter that the Sixers could have received, or James Harden. Um, you look at they literally acquired Danny Green, bro. They got Danny Green. I don't think it's gonna be much improvements. Josh Richardson, Seth Curry is like a Josh Richardson, and Josh Richardson didn't work out for them. Al Horford got rid of Al Horford and got Dwight Howard. I think that's an upgrade. This team's on the rise, but they're a 6 seed. They're just not there yet. I don't think, especially in the Eastern Conference this stacked right now. Okay, hear me out. Coming in at number 5, I have the Miami Heat. A lot of people are high on the Heat from last year's playoff run, and I believe that the Eastern Conference was easy peasy buns for the Miami Heat last year. I don't think they can continue that in the regular season. Playoffs, yes, I think they're gonna win a playoff series in the playoffs without a doubt. But I do think that the teams ahead of them are much better regular season teams. Now this team is definitely a second round exit, third round exit, maybe the finals again if they get lucky, if they go sicko mode. I'm not too, I'm high on the Heat. I think they're sky's the limit for them, but they're at 5 is because I don't think they can continue make that playoff run out of the regular season. I think they're coming in at 5, just good for them. They're of course, they're going to get a tough first round matchup, but this team in the playoffs is a different breed. They're going to win the playoff series. They're going to beat the team ahead of them. They're going to get out of the first round. Spoiler alert: they're going to win the first round. I don't see them getting that playoff run in the hope. They're a top 5 team without a doubt, but they're just not like top 3 in the conference just yet. Just yet. Okay, hear me out in the Celtics here. Celtics are a great team. Of course, scratch Gordon Hayward in the picture you're seeing right now. This team's a really good team. This team is capable of winning the championship in a few years. I don't like them against the Heat in the first round. That's literally the worst possible first round they could have gotten. Gordon Hayward was such a big part of the regular season last year. No, not to mention Jaylen Brown was huge. Marcus Smart was huge. I I don't think they're gonna. Of course, Jaylen Brown. They're good, but they're just not ready to like succeed and get to the NBA championship just yet. Maybe 2023, 2022. I think they're definitely gonna go to the finals without a doubt, in my opinion. Right now I just don't see them going to the NBA finals. They're the 4th seed. It's because like as I said, bro. Like some people are gonna say that the Celtics are too low. I think this is just right for them, of course. Gordon Hayward was such a big part of the regular season last year. Jaylen Brown, he was right. He was good as a third option. He's going to have to adapt to the second option, let alone maybe the third option. Let alone, they might not even be a 4th option. The Celtics at 4. The Celtics at 4, I think, is great for them, especially with all that they've happened with them. I have a lot to say, and I know people are gonna get mad of why I have the Toronto Raptors at number 3. Like the Toronto Raptors have been predicted to be a 6th seed for the past 6 years, and I'm not buying it anymore. This team always exceeds expectations. Even with Kawhi, they weren't even expected to win the championship. They were expected to lose in the second round. Guess what happened? They won the NBA championship. Last year they were expected to be like a 6th seed again. They went on to the second round. They were the second best record in the NBA. So, the Raptors are probably like power rankings top 5 at least. Like if you have the Raptors outside the top 4, top 5, your opinion's invalid. Like like the only reason I have them at 3 is cuz this team always finds a way to exceed expectation. This team always finds a way to do better than how they do. They're a regular season team. And the Raptors have had a better record than the Celtics for the past 6 years, even with DeMar DeRozan. Playoffs is a different story. I will admit that. Every single day of the week, I will admit that. But they are a top 3 team in the conference, and I don't want to hear they lost Gasol and Ibaka. They went on a 15-game win streak without Gasol and Ibaka. They were both injured at the time. So what's your and also not to mention they also have other depth. They also have Chris Boucher, who literally beat Chris Middleton's Bucks. Like, come on, Chris Middleton, you're an all-star and you lost to a guy named Chris Boucher. No, bro, Chris Boucher is literally a baby Ibaka, bro. He can block, he can shoot. He's just as good as Ibaka. Well, not as good. He's literally a baby Ibaka. He's gonna be just that good. Whatever Ibaka did, Chris Boucher is gonna do for them, and Boucher's probably a dark horse for most improved player, and I don't want to hear they lost Gasol in the bucket because that's just nonsense. I'm also gonna hit you guys with a little hot take here about the Raptors. Also, OG Anunoby is probably gonna win most improved player. I said Chris Boucher was a dark horse. Uh, OG Anunoby is literally like hot take is like an undeveloped Jason Tatum, bro. Like I mean, if you take away Siakam and make OG Anunoby the first option, he's literally better than Jason Tatum, bro. Like he's a better than Jason Tatum. He's more consistent. He's a better defender than Tatum, and he doesn't live off the free throw line. So if you take away Siakam and put on OG Anunoby at the first option, I'm telling you right now, and I mean it wouldn't be surprised. OG Anunoby is just as good, if not better, than Jason Tatum. Celtics fan can be mad, but I mean it's true. It's true. Like OG Anunoby was supposed to be our franchise player until Siakam just came out of nowhere. So Raptors at 3. If you Raptors at 3, okay? Like don't disrespect the Raptors. Give respect where respect is due, please. All right, coming in at number 2 in the conference is the Bucks. Uh, the addition of Drew Holiday was huge. Like they can go back to the way they played in 2019, where they relied on dribble penetration and with Giannis spacing, they're still good. I like the Bucks. The Bucks are obviously going to go on a decline. I don't think they're going to be like a set pace for 70 wins as they were last year. I see them being just as they are now. Of course, they're going to be a 3 seed. Like nothing hard on the Bucks. Like the Bucks are a really good team, bro. Like the only problem with the Bucks is if they can succeed in the playoffs. I I don't know, bro. Like if they can do that, but I think Giannis will probably be a candidate for MVP, maybe a third in a row. Bucks at 2. This team's gonna be on top of the East for a while now, if you ask me, unless Giannis leaves, and Bucks at 2. All right, hold up one sec. As you probably are thinking, I know what you're thinking. Like, oh my goodness, you look at the Nets because they have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. No, I do look at that, but I don't just look at that. Look at their supporting cast, bro. Look at their supporting cast. Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan. Look at that. Look at that. That's honestly the best supporting cast you could ever have, bro. This team is going to be unfair next year. This is going to be like, I believe, a 60-win team because, like, their supporting cast, this team is deep. Like, this is what the Clippers wanted to be last year. This is what the Clippers should have been last year. And I think they're going to be like the Clippers? No. Do I think they're going to go to the NBA Finals? Who knows? Stay tuned. Stay tuned. This team is a really, really, really good. The best team in the East by far. Just look at their team. Kevin Durant, Kyrie. It might have some problems. I just think that Kyrie Irving as a second option is a different breed, and Kevin Durant's Kevin Durant. He'll be an MVP candidate. Ladies and gentlemen, it is playoff time with the one seed versus the 8 seed. I have the Nets in 5 over the Hawks. The Hawks, their defense is still shaky. Gallinari, Rondo, still good defenders. They're gonna get exposed in this series. The Hawks, I think, are good enough to take one game at home. That's all for the Atlanta Hawks. Nets. They're definitely a contender here in this year, and I think they're gonna get to the first round. First, not a lot of playoff success in Brooklyn's history, but they're gonna get a first round. They're gonna get pretty much a first round breeze in 5 games over the Hawks, no doubt about it. Starting off with the 2 and 7 seed is the Bucks and the Pacers. I have Bucks in 6. As much as Giannis' struggles in the playoffs, obviously, Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner are going to make some huge problems for Giannis in these playoffs. In this playoff series, I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. You don't want to miss this one. This one's going to be fun, and Milwaukee with their Drew Holiday, I think it's good enough. Home court advantage, I think they're going to get enough done. Barely though. Starting off with the 3 and 6 seed in the East, I have the Raptors and Sixers going at it here. The biggest story of this series is defense, and when it comes to defense, the Raptors were a top defense a season ago, and I think that will continue this year, in my opinion. The Raptors, of course, they can double up Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons is a much of a threat to shoot the basketball. The Raptors have long enough defenders with Chris Boucher, OG Anunoby, Kyle Lowry to get out and block and contest that dribble penetration. That's my opinion. That's what I think. I think the Raptors just match up better than the 76ers right now. I have Raptors in 5 or 6. I'm leaning towards 5 because Joel Embiid will get shut down. That's the key to beat them. This right here is the series of the playoffs. I like Miami in 6, a repeat of last year. I told you Miami was gonna win a playoff series this year, and that's what's gonna happen. They're just better. They match up better than the Celtics every way. I think Jimmy Butler was uncontainable. Bam Adebayo was huge. This is where Jason Tatum's gonna shine as a top player in this league. This is where he has to shine. I like Miami in 6. No 7-game series is just yet so far in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I like Miami here. They're just really good. Of course, I like to see how Bam proves. I like to see how Marcus Smart continues his playoff. I like to see how he played in that second round series against Toronto, against how he swept the Sixers. But I think Miami is the first possible matchup for the Celtics, and of course, Miami. This is a matchup they want. They want to prove that they're just how they were. Of course, this is the right way to do it. You beat a team that's scheduled to be a top 4 team. You beat the Celtics in 6. That's how to get back on track. The Heat are a threat, ladies and gentlemen. The Heat are a threat. Starting off this second round with a bang, Nets Heat series of the playoffs, series of the second round. Hear me out. Brooklyn in 6. I think the supporting cast outweighs the Heat. Playoff Durant, but nothing to hang your head. If you're the Miami Heat, you take this team to 7. Give me Brooklyn in 7. Playoff Butler will prove he's a top 5, let alone maybe even top 6 player. Kevin Durant will continue to prove that he is top 5. Jarrett Allen Karis LeVert will prove that he's one of the most underrated players. This will be an outstanding series. If this series happens, do not miss it, because you will not want to blink. Playoff Kevin Durant versus playoff Butler will be a treat. I think playoff Kevin Durant prevails in 7. Another second round banger. The Bucks Raptors. Bucks, of course, with the home court advantage, but I like Toronto here. I think they'll shut down Giannis, and as I said, they're long enough. OG Anunoby, Chris Boucher, they're all good defenders. They're all good enough to stop that dribble penetration by the Bucks, and they're not nearly as good as their 2019 team. They have two shooters. If they kept Bogdanovic, I could have lent to the Heat, but no, they decided to send him over to the Hawks. I like Toronto in a good 7 games here. I think the only team that was really able to beat them a season ago was the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics are now eliminated in my prediction video. The Bucks sure give them one hell of a run for the money. I like Giannis. It's typical for him. He likes to choke in the playoffs. Toronto's a pretty good matchup for the Bucks. I think Toronto prevails in 7 games. Eastern Conference Final. This is where the Cinderella story ends for the Raptors. I think Nets in 5. Of course, the Nets with Kevin Durant. Too much for the Raptors. The Raptors weren't even supposed to be here. I think the Raptors exceed expectations every single year. I think that is what the Raptors love to do. The Raptors always exceed expectations. But the Nets, man, they're something else this year. The Nets are going to the NBA Finals with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Bad boom bad. Thanks for watching this video. Vlogmas Day 4, I think. Yeah, Vlogmas Day 4.